Hey everyone, this is Tom from MonTac here, and this is the Weekly MonTac Matchup for the 27th of May, 2022. And today, yes, you can already hear them, we have got Doozi, rank 5 former champion, first Asian champion, first non-binary champion. Doozi, how are you doing today? And are you keen to get into these matches?
Yes, my day is doing fine, I guess.
We've got a couple interesting matches for you today. We'll skip the Hexed Bow and Nyx one, obviously, because they're still pretty new. But right off the bat, we've got Tamoose versus Misfire. They're both quite close to the rank 12 position, so a loss here could actually get them removed from the qualifications to get into the June tournament. Obviously, Tamoose is expected to use Sky Bandits, and Misfire expected to use some sort of Angel variant. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I think Misfire will win.
Do you think it makes extra time, or do you think Misfire OTKs?
OTK.
Ooh, interesting.
But you know, Bandit Strike is a archetype, but it requires a lot. Like, most Bandit decks are pure decks because of how they work together as an archetype and not meant to be hybrided.
So from what I can see is I believe it's basically bandits but without using bandit lockdown, and they're just kind of using bandits as a pressure tool while the Sky Soldiers are their main bosses at the end, like with Wolfman loading up and the Wolfman synergy. They've been really successful. They actually have gotten a win over Misfire in the past with it. It's just about whether they can do it again.
Yeah, once again against Misfire with an Alexander.
Yes. You will keep reminding him forever, I'm sure.
Yes. Until the end of time.
Yes, forever and ever. Next matchup we got is Apocalyptic former champion taking on Tailsweet, top contender. Obviously, these guys are around the 7 and 8 ranking. Very interesting matchup because Apocalyptic has been prone to using a very similar deck to yourself in Eclipse Troopers, but they've decided to put a little bit of a spin on it and add in Destroyer Swords. And a bit more Destroyer Swords than just the basic set. Tailsweet, on the other hand, is obviously speccing into pure Mutation, or Mutated, who have gotten a new Apex, or more of a buffed up Apex, that now really is a heavy control icon. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Like, if Apocalyptic. But you know, there's Gargoyle and stuff, so in the late game, Eclipse Troopers are so... I almost cursed, okay. It's my bad. Like in the late game, Eclipse Troopers are so strong with Gargoyle. And I actually haven't seen much Mutated in play recently.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
They're a bit, yeah. They're a bit on the outside.
They're a bit niche.
Yeah, they're a bit outside there, but I think it could be quite interesting, especially if Tailsweet can get them going, but I guess it depends on if the Gargoyle can outmuscle the Apex. Alright,
it all depends on the Gargoyle at the end of the day for Eclipse Troopers.
Do you think that's their win con per se?
Yeah, because I can only find Gargoyle hard carrying in the late game for Eclipse Troopers to get the win as an Eclipse Trooper player myself.
And speaking of you playing Eclipse Troopers, you're going to be taking on Zweistein this weekend. Obviously, you guys are notorious for matching up quite early in the tournaments, but this time you're going to be matching up a little bit earlier than that as the final match of this season. And the winner of this is going to be getting into the top 4, which means they will qualify to advance automatically to the quarterfinals of the tournament and not even have to play a preliminary match. How confident are you going into this matchup knowing you're taking on potentially Vigilantes from Zweistein?
Okay, yeah, I'm a bit confident that I'll win. Fingers crossed.
What makes you say that?
Because I'm just a better player overall.
So you think you can take Zwei? Is it going to be a tough match? Do you think it's going to be an easy match? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I only think that Jared is going to be annoying from the Vigilante deck. Like, only Jared will be annoying.
Alright, well, let's focus on this next match. Speaking of Gareth, or Jared, whichever one, Crimson Deceit is going to be using Vigilantes, but they're going to have to take on Sparrow, who just lost their title. Definitely a heartbreaker for Sparrow there.
Yes.
Sparrow, highly likely. I think they would probably use Sunwalkers just to get that FTK back up again. but Crimson has a notoriously very strong defense. So
yeah, that's a slow deck. Is it a slow deck? No,
it's a very slow deck. Crimson's runs very slow defensive. It's like I'd say that they run Savage Duel, Troshan Guard, Double Bandit, Alexander Double, Gareth, that kind of stuff. So it's a very defensive deck. It is. So you hate stall decks, Doozi? Is that what you're saying?
I am the stall player, but I hate stall decks at the same time.
Well, I have heard they're speccing into mill potentially, so they might spice it up for you. But what are you thinking of Sunwalkers? Do you think they've got the potential to really break through, especially a very defensive deck, or do you think there's just too much in MonTac for them to really, sink through, especially with such a defensive deck as Crimson's?
And Vigilantes are not pretty great in their terms of power, especially. No, just except for their synergy. And Sunwalkers just outpowers them completely. So Sparrow's gonna take the win. Okay.
Do you think Sparrow OTKs, or do you think it's an FDK? What are your thoughts? How do you think they're getting this done?
Because Crimson plays a pretty slow deck, I don't think it's gonna be something like an OTK. Unless Sparrow rolls a 1. Imagine if he just rolls a 1 and then the match ends. Because Crimson
it happened with Dan. Happened with Dan B. They rolled a 1 and it was immediately over. But that should be quite exciting. Let's get on to the main event. Speaking of Dan B, they are now the champion and 2-time champion at that. And obviously, Steel Edge is now on top, which I'm sure you're very unhappy about.
Yes,
but lucky for you, I get it. Lucky is challenging Dan this weekend for the title, and Lucky has had experience with Dan a bunch of times through practice matches. So they've never actually competed in an actual competitive match against each other. So what this is going to really show is, will the pressure be too much for Lucky after having to face somebody that they really had to practice against to get good and really reach the highs they've done? So now they have both reached the title, they have both hit the pinnacle, and now they're playing each other again to decide who's going to stay there. Lucky's probably going to use...
What deck is Lucky using?
Well, that's actually the interesting thing. Obviously, Tarotians are a great choice for Lucky because they're going to give him a lot of specialty removal against the Steel Edge deck. But they may also go into Gamblers because they've got great recursion, and it may not be as big of an issue against Steel Edge if they get their boards wiped because they can just bring everything back. Or they may try to do some other shenanigans with Blackjack Dragon. I have no idea. I would predict Gamblers, though. What are your thoughts?
Lucky just use Tarotians. Hear me out. Okay, just beat Dan B for once.
They haven't lost to Dan. Not in a competitive match.
I need him to not have champion. Dan is just my ultimate rival besides Misfire for now. What?
I was going to say, because you're in between their rankings, if you ended up having to play them in the June tournament, how confident are you beating them, by the way?
I half a way to defeat Dan B now because I'm just working on changing my Corpse Troopers deck specifically just to defeat Dan B.
You want that matchup then?
Yes.
Interesting.
Dude, I swear, last match I had with him, he was at 2 health points. I was at 10. 10.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, dude. He pulled it out. Did you say, what was your ending result on the Dan B Lucky match on who you think's going to win?
If I was on my biased side, I was saying Lucky, but in reality, I would say it's Dan.
Interesting. So you want it to be Lucky, but you think Dan's going to clinch it?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so it sounds like you've got a lot of respect for the Steel Edge deck just based on what it can do. But yeah, so those were the matches for the week. Thank you for giving your thoughts. It was great to have you on. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Well, just join MonTac to us so I can troll you.
Fantastic. Always looking for another person to troll. Thank you, Doozi, for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more content. Ring the bell. You know the whole spiel. Have a great day. This has been Tom.